husky, I'm husky, fighting leaf and husky, I'm husky, fighting leaf and husky, yeah, that's me!
Sure, they like them now, but that ain't gonna last. To minimize the damage, we gotta work fast. This is what we gotta do to help the kids to get it. Now listen to my review, you're gonna regret it. It's husky by my side and me falling my chest. The real bad kids movies with help from the rest. I'm fighting leaf, the kid movie chief. To give me no grief, but you're gonna regret it.
Hi, Internet!
And welcome to You're Gonna Regret It with your hosts, Fighting Leaf and Husky the Wolf. We're still no closer to figuring out how to prevent ourselves from destroying the world, so we're going to be doing a little bit of research on how to summon other powerful entities.
Yeah, summoning Scar last time!
It's me, Scar!
Sucked.
This time, we'll be learning how to summon Disney's fairy godmother from the Cinderella... This isn't Disney's Cinderella. Look, man, this one was a lot cheaper, and it's pretty much the same thing, right? No, it is not the same thing. And I guess today I'm gonna be walking you through exactly why it's not, as we review the not Disney Cinderella, brought to us by Good Times Entertainment.
Why do we do this to ourselves?
This, like most Good Times animated films, begins with a scene of these two seemingly nameless children, Landon and Emery Elizabeth.
Wait, I thought you said they were nameless.
I said seemingly nameless. These two were actually given proper names in the animated film The Magical Gift of the Snowman, which is also a Good Times production. So, just so we're clear, everything I know about this company is lifted directly from internet reviewer Phelan. So, anything that I get wrong, he got wrong first.
So we leave the coaster, and our story can finally begin!
Dream on, Cinderella, dream the day away. Dreaming of a handsome prince to take your heart away.
Wow, barely a minute in and we've already completely missed the point of this story. Husky, care to elucidate?
Why, certainly. Cinderella is not after a man!
That is exactly right. No, Cinderella catches a lot of flack for just sitting back and waiting for a prince to solve all of her problems, and that's simply not the case.
Not in the Disney version, and not in the Grimm's fairy tale either.
Not even in the Charles Perrault version, the one that actually introduced the fairy godmother and the glass slippers that the Disney production used as primary inspiration.
All she wanted to do was go out and have some freaking fun for once in her miserable existence. Wait, who the heck is this George Bloom guy? He didn't write Cinderella!
I think this is supposed to mean that he's the one who adapted the story. This is kind of a Frankenstein's monster of the big three versions we've already mentioned. We'll explain more as it becomes relevant. And this song won't shut up about the stupid prince.
Skipping!
There once lived a gentleman
From Nantucket.
No, Husky.
Oh, man.
Introducing Gentleman,
His life was
voiced
filled
by...
with beauty.
I have no idea. IMDb, you're letting me down here. Yes, the end credits do list all the voice actors' names, but not who they played.
Wow, this is some awkward animation. It's like even these cartoons are bad actors.
Life, however, is not always predictable,
Unpredictable, huh?
His wife gets gravely ill.
and his wife took gravely ill.
And then she croaks, right?
A few weeks later, she passed on.
A note to any aspiring writers out there, do not use the words not predictable when you're adapting one of the most retold stories in human history.
Winter came and covered everything in a blanket of white.
Yeah, and...
Okay. Bye, Winter. Thanks for padding out the film. Nah, we're just messing around. It's not that long before stuff actually happens again. Daddy gets a new wife, and we get introduced to the ugly stepsisters.
who were actually supposed to be just as attractive as Cinderella in the Grimm's version, and who were only uglier than Cinderella in the Perrault version because they were haughty and arrogant. I'm pretty sure it's just the Disney version that popularized the ugly stepsister thing. Oh yeah, this movie never actually states Cinderella's real name, taking a cue from the Grimm's version. Her name is Ella in the Perrault version, by the way.
Okay, we get it, Mr. Smarty Pants. You did your own research. You want a cookie or something?
Don't patronize me.
So any dang whoozle way, Rich Dad's gotta go off on a business trip.
But you just came back.
Wait,
Sometime later, the rich man left on a long business trip.
so which is it? Did he just get back or has it been a while?
Space is warped and time is bendable, it would seem. Before he leaves, though, he asks the girls what they want for him to bring back. Straight out of the Grimm's version, only with less points, because there it was to show that Cinderella was more grateful for getting the first twig that fell on her father's hat than her sisters were for the expensive gifts they'd received.
Here, Cindy don't ask for nothing, and Pops is never relevant again. Bye, you big loser! Also,
And candy, lots of cherries covered with thick, creamy chocolate.
fat chick joke!
And now we have the proper setup for Cinderella's life of abuse and misery. There's no reason given for why Dad didn't do anything about it in the Grimm's version, but in the Perrault version, Ella just didn't complain about it to him so as not to worry him.
Here, apparently, it's just because his Pops loves evil stepmom so much that he just doesn't notice. Personally, I would have been more convinced if the reason given was that he was just some kind of friggin' moron!
One common element in many tellings of the Cinderella story is how she slept in front of the hearth and how the ashes and cinders blew onto her.
And that's why her sisters call her Cinderella.
Most modern tellings of this story omit this detail, and just have her be named Cinderella, but skipping over that misses a key aspect of the tale, which we'll get into.
Anyway, fairy godmother!
She's apparently trapped in a snow globe here. Okay, Husky, this is the important bit. We have to see how Cinderella summons her so that we can repeat the process.
Right, watching!
Why, Cindy, you've been crying.
Uh-oh.
Teardrop, huh? Well, that might be a problem. Let's keep watching. Maybe there's a loophole or something.
Everybody has a fairy godmother.
That's not a claim any version of Cinderella we've studied has made.
Wait, does that mean we have a fairy godmother too?
Well, almost everybody.
Your face sucks and I hate you!
So the fairy godmother shows some easy-to-animate wastes of time and lets Cinderella know that she's up to speed on her situation.
Their deeds will not go unpunished.
Spoilers.
No comeuppance happen for anyone.
What a well-written movie this is. She then vaporizes her tears and the story goes on.
No mention of the grand ball yet, just, oh look, there's a magic lady! Next!
You know one thing I love about this roughly 40-minute movie?
Something witty and sarcastic?
As short as it is, it still feels the need to pad itself out.
Wait. Why is that good?
Because, my dear Husky, it means we can skip this scene.
Awesome!
If you really want to know what happens, it's pretty much just the fairy godmother messing with the step family and Cinderella laughing at them.
What a sweet and kind lady! So from there we go to a big old castle to meet the prince currently known as Prince. Hey look! Fat people who aren't constantly eating! What a concept!
Apparently the king and queen are having a difficult time getting the prince to choose a bride. And apparently this lady doesn't like using chairs.
So Princey Pooh storms out of there like a 5-year-old and is all like, no, I don't want to marry a chick without love.
This is the setup to the ball scene that's to happen later. He agrees to it, but only on the condition that he chooses the girl for himself. On the one hand, this was always the purpose of the ball in every telling of the story that we're familiar with.
On the other hand, this prince is being really whiny about it. Also, these pauses are kind of awkward, aren't they?
Well?
Isn't she lovely?
I will not.
Nitpicking!
So we rejoin the Cinder family, and the fat one is still eating while playing badminton.
Patrick eating food! Patrick eating food! Patrick
Knock
eating...
it off!
Alright. Anyway, a messenger shows up and tells them all about the ball.
Obviously, Cinderella wants to go too, but...
That's hardly possible, Cinderella. You certainly don't expect me to buy 3 new dresses, do you? Besides, you can't even dance.
And also, you're ugly, and no one likes you, and you smell like fish, and you have no value as a person.
I will not cry. I will not.
Now I want to cover something that really bugs me about this film and about all good time stuff in general.
The complete lack of care about anything.
Well, there's that, but this is what a musical number looks like in these guys' hands.
Look at all that movement. Look at all that energy. Look at the freaking framing of these lazy, no-good, crap-tacular shots.
Even the lyrics are just thrown together.
The time is here, the carriages call, the trumpeters herald the start of the ball. The pretty young ladies are ready to dance, but no one will give Cinderella a chance.
I mean, it's not as super cringe-inducing as other songs I've heard, but it's just so boring.
But it's still one of the more interesting bits of this flick.
Look, they're not even bothering to lip sync here. This is cheap garbage.
It'd be one thing if they were still trying to make something worth watching.
But that's not what they're doing here. They're just trying to pump something out to leech off of something more popular and... No, we need to focus again.
I missed my chance of a lifetime. I missed my chance for romance.
Ugh, this again!
That was not what she wanted. Oh, hey, something interesting! Cinderella helps her sisters get ready for the ball, then asks again if she can go.
That's when Fat Sister says the interesting bit.
Well, she did help us get dressed.
That's right. This is an interesting bit of humanity given to one of the stepsisters that's usually missing in these tellings of the story, even the 3 that we've been citing so far.
Wow, imagine the possibilities this opens up. I bet this will change the direction of the whole rest of the...
Never referenced again.
Really?
Really.
This movie sucks!
This is where we get a scene that isn't really featured among modern tellings of the story. The evil stepmother says she can attend if she picks out all the lentil seeds from the fireplace before the carriage arrives.
This comes from the Brothers Grimm version. That version had no fairy godmother. But in this one, she's the one who summons all the birds to pick out the lentils for her.
Okay, now let me explain exactly why the use of this plot point here is very poorly thought out. In the Grimm's fairy tale, the birds came to her aid because Cinderella was such a sweet and kind person to them that of course they would help her. Here though, Cinderella really isn't doing anything for herself at all. She was never kind to the birds, and the fairy godmother really is just doing everything for her.
And she can't even do that right! She freaking missed one, meaning Cindy couldn't go at all. In the Grimm's version, those freaking birds picked out all of them twice. Or was it 3 times? I can't remember. Point is, she sucks.
I will not cry. I will not cry.
I will not write fresh dialogue. I will not write fresh dialogue.
Now the carriage arrives and takes evil stepfam away to the ball, leaving Cinderella behind. This is the part where the fairy godmother should have appeared.
After establishing how kind and patient Cinderella was in her quiet suffering, of course. Which, let me remind you, this movie failed profoundly to do.
From here on, it's just the Disney and Perrault versions told crappily. The pumpkin, the horseman, Where are the horses?
Well, nobody's perfect.
Wow, you suck so much.
The exact motives of the fairy godmother in both the Perrault and Disney version are the subject of much scholarly and layman debate. Maybe there's a proper reason, maybe not.
But this chick is just a moron.
Now, there is one part I want to focus on in particular.
But yes, I know.
Hold it!
Alright, the Perrault version specifically states that she transformed Cinderella's clothing into the finest gold, silver, beset with jewels, etc., but that she gave Cinderella a pair of the most beautiful glass slippers in the world.
She didn't transform nothing into those things, but here that creates a moment of stupid later on.
Anyway, the story continues on at the ball, and here...
If the spinning is making me sick, this animation's gonna make me puke!
Don't worry, Husky, this part will give you something you haven't seen yet.
Oh, really?
Fat sister eating something.
What? Oh, fat chick, eating a food! Fat chick eating food, yeah!
So, after suffering the indignity of meeting an overweight woman, the prince sulks off again, only to cross paths with the newly transformed Cinderella. I believe he's impressed.
So the story can proceed and... Oh, the circle dancing! Leave help, the lazy animation loops are making me sick again!
Fat chick eating.
Huh? There once was a tale of a fat chick who ate food. And that's it. Hey!
So everything is hunky-dory until the clock strikes midnight. For the absolutely no one who doesn't know this plot point already, Cinderella's clothing is going to revert back to normal at the stroke of 12, which means she has to book it out of there or she'll be found out as a fraud.
Duh!
Wait! I don't even know your name!
You had all night to ask, dude! Anyway, she runs around for a bit, he chases her, her clothing changes back to normal, and she leaves behind the glass slipper.
Which should have transformed back as well.
In this telling of the story, that is exactly what should have happened. The fairy godmother has proven time and time again that she is incompetent and underpowered.
But that's not how the original glass slipper thing went. It was created separately from other magical stuff, so it didn't have to change back.
Here, there is no reason for them not to change back, it's just crap writing.
So she has to run back home on foot, cause she ain't got no carriage no more, but then...
How will he ever find me?
Oh, for Pete's sake, she did not want the prince to find her. Not in the Disney version, not in the Perrault version, not in the Grimm's version. She did not want to marry the prince.
Until after they met.
But she's just expected to return home to her normal, everyday misery after that night. She never dreamed that a kind of real escape was possible.
Can we just wrap up? The movie's almost over and we all pretty much know how it's gonna end anyway.
Not yet. There is one more little point I need to make. Earlier there was a musical number where the prince and Cinderella sing about how much they both love each other for whatever reason. Remember that. It's important.
Now?
Now.
Finally!
The evil stepsisters boil and freeze their feet to better fit the size of the shoe.
How do they know what size?
Evil stepmother locks Cinderella in her room. The prince arrives with the glass slipper. It doesn't fit either of the evil stepsisters. He asks if they have any other daughters. She says no. They need to get his attention before he leaves, and they finally do this by having her sing that song from earlier.
Wait, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it does not. Musical numbers like that should not be used as plot points unless they were actually in each other's presence when they sang it. And that...
He's the one I've been waiting for.
is actually extremely unclear.
Boy, it's almost like this movie has no idea what it's doing or something.
Anyway, she comes downstairs at the prince's orders, tries on the shoe, it fits, but stepmother says it could have fit anyone, which is stupid for so many reasons, but I can't be bothered to get into any of them right now. But lo and behold, Cinderella has the other shoe, proving that she was the turkey all along. Props if you get that reference. They get married, sisters' deeds do go unpunished, and they live crappily ever after.
The end!
This is worse than a film just going through the motions. It's a film that misses the entire point of its premise. This film is exactly what naysayers think of the actual tales of Cinderella. A passive girl who does pretty much nothing while all of her life problems are solved by other people and true love TM. The original tale had the kind of staying power it did for a number of reasons, but one of the most important was its moral. The fact that you must never let the hardships of life corrupt you into a worse person. Cinderella had no power to overcome her oppressors, and yet she kept up the good fight anyway in her own way, and it was her strong and worthy heart that summoned the fairy godmother, or the giving tree in the Grimm's version. This Cinderella, however, the film and the character, was an empty, lazy cash grab that continues to sully the good name of a classic tale with an important message. And this is why you don't skimp on the movies you buy. We are no closer to solving our problem than we were when we started.
We are sure as crap not summoning the incompetent fairy godmother from this flick.
So you want expensive, huh? Alright. Here's something I've spent way too much money on. What is this? Oh no.
Oh no. Oh no!
This movie's stupid. It's really that bad. You made me watch it, and that makes me mad. It's like a pit stain that never erases. And when I find you, I will eat your faces.
I really do.
I really do.
I hate everyone. I hate them like a poo.
Like a really big poo.
I hate everyone.
That's you.
And everything they do.
Hate your guts now.
I hate everyone and you.
Everybody! This movie's putrid. My brain has a scar. Some flicks are bad.
Thank you all, thank you all, thank you very much. Megan, Cloud, and Matthew, Connorth, and Jordan Mathis. Thank you all, thank you all, thank you very much. I like you very much because you support me. In all seriousness, thanks a lot, you guys. You help keep me motivated to make more stuff. Hey, do you want to motivate me too? Check out the link below for my Patreon, so you can be sung about in the end credits just like these three. Also, while you're at it, check out Steve Sharp's music at Sharp Rain, because, hey, he's awesome. Also, be sure to follow my Twitter handle in the description below. And don't forget, if you want to send me any kind of mail, send it to P.O. Box 82, Prospect, Kentucky 40059. Later, guys, and stay awesome.